If you're a subscriber or you have viewed any of my other content on this channel, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, then thank you for stopping. I hope that what I'm sharing today is helpful to you. So I'm going to try to start off a series of what I call skill builders. And this first one has to do with editing your SVG files. So as you can see on the screen, this is one of the more popular designs that you see out there. It's the lady with the messy bun and the sunglasses and the little bandana. So this is one that I drew it on Procreate, and so this is my design, which I will share the design with you, and I will link that, how you can find the design, in the description, and so you can download it and you can use it for free. The only thing I ask is that you do not have permission to sell my design or to share it digitally in that capacity, but feel free to make your own, cups, tumblers, shirts, whatever. Feel free to use it and customize it for yourself. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and close the screen off. I'm going to close the screen out, and I'm going to bring up Silhouette Studio. So that's what we're going to be working in, is Silhouette Studio. Now I'm going to start by saying that you will have to have either the Designer Edition. I don't know if there's one below Designer Edition. I know this will not work with the free edition because I'm using SVGs for this, and SVGs are not, you cannot use SVGs in the free software. You have to have paid for an upgrade. I know for sure the Designer Edition has support for SVG, and of course the business edition does. So let me close this out, and you can see right here is my sample of the one that I've already started. But we're going to start from scratch, and this is not that difficult to do. So even if you're a beginner, this is a pretty easy skill. So we're going to start by, I'm going to bring my SVG in, and then we're going to look at how we can customize these parts, the insides of the glasses and this bandana. The rest of it's going to stay the same. So we're not going to be messing with anything else, only changing the color of the bandana and the lenses and the glasses. And once I show you how to do this, you can put anything you want in it. You can use patterns, you can use different colors, you can use just about anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this. Let me get my Silhouette Studio up here, and I want to open a new project. So I already have this saved here. So it was one, as you can see, I have it open, so it was on my most recent list. And I'm going to open this in a new window. Okay, so I had to reshoot this portion of the video, and I'm going to apologize in advance for the microphone sound. I'm having an issue with my internal microphone picking up the fan from my computer, and you can't hear hardly anything I'm saying. So again, that's what the audio issue is with this video. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get into editing this SVG, and hopefully I'm where I left off when I had to change microphones. So we have our SVG imported, and I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not sure if I did this on the last one, but I'm going to open my page settings, my page setup, and I'm just going to, I'll go ahead and leave my mat selected, my machine, and then I'm going to change the custom media size. I'm just going to make it the size of the mat, and it doesn't really matter. You can make it to whatever you need. You can, if you're printing this, you can print it to whatever size that your printer, the maximum size that your printer will allow. If you have one of the wide format printers, you can print up to 13 by 19 on some of the wide format Epsons. but, um, but for today, we're just going to leave it at the 12 by 12 as it's set up. Now, after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit and make it a little smaller so it sets within um, my designing space and the mat area that I have set up on my page specifications over here. So before I do this, first thing, I don't think I said this in the previous part before I had to switch microphones, but before you move anything, you need to group all of your pieces. And the reason why is if I click on my image and try to drag it, you see there are pieces left behind. So it's not uncommon for that to happen in SVGs where different pieces aren't necessarily grouped together as a whole. And specifically, you saw the yellow or the orange pink pieces did not move with the rest of it because they're actually a separate objects. So just off to the side, click and drag your cursor over the whole image, and then you can hit Command G to group. You can use your right click, and group is also down in here, or you can go up to the top, and in your object menu you will find the group section. I'm sorry, you'll find the group selection. But for time purposes, I normally use keyboard shortcuts whenever I can. So now that that is grouped, we can click on it and move it, and it moves as an entire group rather than in pieces. I'm going to go ahead and size this down just a little bit so it sits within the mat, and you can use the corner. Any of the four corners will allow you to move both the height and the width at the same time. So you keep your aspect ratio. The other way you can do this, you can go up to the top in your bar and your little toolbar here, and you can put a specific height or width. And if you're going to do that, make sure that you click your aspect ratio lock so that when you change, let's say the height, I'm going to go ahead and change the height to 11.75. And when you do that and you hit enter, it will automatically adjust the width. Right now I have it at 8.474. And when I changed only the height to 11 and 3/4, it moved the width down along with it. So after I do that, I will, out of habit, I usually center things to my page. To me, it's easier to do my designing if I can keep things centered, and I just do it mainly for just to make it easier to lining things up, especially if I'm working with multiple layers within one design. All right, so now that we have that, I can close out my page setup. I can close out my page setup panel and move on to my color selector. So in this video, I'm going to show you 4 different ways to change and to adjust your SVG. And these designs, this design is a setup of objects. So we're only going to be working with this pink piece of the bandana and the pink, where I have it colored pink, pieces of the glasses, the lenses. And these, when I ungroup, they're going to be different objects. So let me go ahead and show you what happens when you go to change the colors. So there's 2 places you can get. In the top left hand corner, you can get a basic color palette up here, or you can also go over to your panel menu, and there is an option to open the fill panel. This looks like a painter's palette, so that would tell you its color. And you click on it and you get the same palette. There's more to this option over here. There's more to the whole panel as opposed to the quick shortcut. So we're going to work within this panel, and you can see some of the different things that you do. So let's say that I want to change the pink. I don't really like this pink Pepto-Bismol, and I want to make it a mint green. So I've selected my image. I open my fill panel, and I'm going to make it mint green. Oops, now it changed the whole thing. This is not a problem. This is what would happen if you don't go back and ungroup. So I'm going to undo. And as a group, whenever you select on this and you change the color, it tells it to change the color for everything. But we don't want to change the color for everything in this video that I'm doing. We only want to change the color for the bandana and the lenses. So I'm going to select it. And now, since I have it set up, go ahead and make sure I didn't move anything. I'm going to ungroup. So you can use the shortcuts. You can use the shortcut on your keyboard, Shift, Command, G, and that will ungroup. You can do your right click, and ungroup is under there, and it's also in your object menu just where the group was. So now I've ungrouped it, and I've separated out this pink area down here. And if I want, I can check it, and yep, it's definitely separated. So I will undo and put it back. So now I can select only, you see when I click, I'm only selecting certain parts of the design, and I can change it from here. So once I click on my object, I can go over to any of my color palette and pick a color to change. And I can continue to play around and change it to whatever color I want. Now let's say that, let's do this purple. Let's say that, oh, it's okay, but it's not exactly what I wanted. Well, down here is a little tab for advanced options. So you can open that advanced options, and when you do, an entire spectrum comes up. You can take your little cursor and you can move it all over, and you can get a wide range of colors. So this way you can actually pinpoint a specific color that you would rather have than if it's not something that is up here. These are predetermined colors, but when you're using the spectrum bar below, you can fine tune it to what you want. So not only can I move my little cursor around to get a color I like, I can also use the slider. And the slider here will change the intensity, or kind of like the saturation, I guess the intensity, because you can go from more of a neutral gray all the way up to full saturation, full intensity of the color. And as you're moving this bar to the right-hand side, you are also changing what's available for your colors in the spectrum. So that's another way that you can customize your colors. So you're not stuck with only what is in this palette. You can come below and you can pick out whatever color you want. And you just use your little circle and your cursor to move it around. You can also change the transparency if you want it to be more see-through. You can do that. And the last part, quickly, with the solid fill color panel are the codes. So if you click on this little drop-down menu, you'll see hex, HSL, and RBG. These are color codes that have a specific value assigned to them. The hex code normally has the hashtag, and it's a series of letters and numbers. Usually I think there's 6. I don't know if there's any more than 6, but I know for sure there's usually 6. And you can change, if you know a hex code of a certain color that you like, or you've seen a palette somewhere online that has these codes, you can put that code in and it will automatically bring up the color you like. Right now, the only code I know off the top of my head is 000000, and when I hit enter, you'll see what it turns to. Black. That's the code for black. That's the only one I know off the top of my head. But rather than going through my little finder or my little color palette, if I want something black, I know I can just type the code with the 6 zeros and it will automatically bring it to black. Same thing with the HSL. That tells you the hue, the number of the hue, the saturation, That's the saturation of the color, and then the L is the luminosity. So if you know those three numbers, you can recall a specific color that that you want to use, or also the RBG. So you can do the three of those that Silhouette Studio has built into it. That you can use any of those codes that fit into this category. Okay, so so this is the part of the panel that has solid colors, but there's two other sections of the fill panel, and the next one we'll go to. This is the full. Let's see if I can get it to come up. Fill color. So this is your solid colors. The next one over is your fill gradient. If you click on that, you're going to open the menu of your gradients and your ombres. You can use any of the predetermined gradients. There's a little slider here, and you can slide it down. You can get to rainbow stripes. You can have blended. Anyway, all the different things that are pre-programmed for your ombres and your gradients are set in this panel. We can also open the advanced options, and now this is where you can customize your gradients. You can change the angle. And let's say right now it's going at 0 degrees angle, it's going straight up and down. But maybe I want it to go, I want your gradient going from top to bottom. So I can adjust this to about 90 degrees and it will adjust my angle. But as you can see, I did that and now I don't have hardly any dark. So you can use the sliders and you can adjust your colors. Here, I got too much white. Now maybe I want to drag a little more blue into it. I want to make that a little closer. And you see how I'm changing the gradient just by adjusting the sliders. So that's something you can play around with. Also, if you like the way the gradient is, but maybe that's not exactly your color, again, you can use, now right now I have this one selected, so that's what I'm moving. So you can move one at a time and you can change. Let's see. So now I've adjusted it myself and I've added, maybe I want a little more of that bluish color. So that's something else you can play with. You can move any of these sliders around and adjust your gradient from here. And same thing, you can move your angle just like before. All right, so that is the gradient panel. And then the last one is the fill panel. And inside the fill panel, there is a set of backgrounds, a set of patterns that you can also use to fill your objects. So you can just click around and play around with some of the different patterns that are available. And maybe you'll find something you like. Let's see. Let's go with, yeah, let's use that one. That one's fine. Actually, no, let's go with this one. So right now I've chosen this pink polka dot. Just like the other two, you can open this advanced option, and this is where you can adjust your pattern to what you want it to be. You can change the scale and add, more dots. You can make them larger, you can make them smaller. You probably may not notice it too much with the polka dots, but yeah, you can mess with the angle. You'll see that more with like maybe even the diamonds. Definitely those. can play around with the angle of how it's going to tilt. You can mess around with the transparency. And you can also rotate your pattern. Again, you're not going to notice it as much with those polka dots, but something else. Let me see if I can find something. All right, let's just use the plaid. You'll be able to see it better with that, I think. And you can see as I'm clicking rotate, it's moving the pattern by itself. I can do the free angle, or I can use the rotate, and it puts it at pretty, like at 90-degree angles, switching it, right, left, so on and so forth. You can also pan your pattern. So say you want a specific part of the pattern, like, oh, I don't like that big, maybe I don't like this big purple square here. So I can click on pattern pan and I could move it out of the way. So there's a lot of things you can do with that. And all of this, so all of these options are in your fill panel. And I'll go back and review. So your fill panel, the first one is just your solid colors, and you have all of your customizing options below. The next one is your gradient. In your gradient pattern and your gradient tab. And then the last one is the pattern, and these are the backgrounds that are automatically available in Silhouette Studio. So I didn't add these or create new ones. I used what is available, and these are standard in the Silhouette Studio. Okay, so let's say those things, you like them, but you had something else in mind. And I'm going to show you how I did this with the glitter background paper. So I purchased a glitter background paper from Design Bundles, and I'm going to find another one. Papers, let's see. Okay, these are really cute. Let's do that. So I'm going to use this dragon paper that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I hit merge rather than open, because open it would put it in a new document, and it pulls in. It's high resolution, so it pulls in at 50 inches high, which is way too much. So I'm just going to go up here to my toolbar, and I'm going to make sure that my lock aspect ratio is closed, and I'm going to change that to 10. You can change it to whatever you want, but usually 10 inches by 10 inches is enough for me. And I'm going to hit enter. Now it has disappeared off the screen. So without clicking anything on your screen or selecting anything, it's automatically selected. It's just off the view. You can't see it. So I can use my cursor and hunt all over for it, or the easiest thing to do is go back to my center to page and it will bring it up. But if you've clicked anywhere on your design or on the desk, you will have deselected it and this won't work. So whenever you bring it in, you change the size, make sure you don't click anywhere else. Now I'm also going to send it to the back, because in order for this to work, they always have to be sent to the back. So now I have my pattern paper behind, and on top I have my SVG. I also have the objects that I want to change the look for. So what I need to do now, I'm going to change for this one right now. I'm going to change both. So I will click and select the inside piece of my bandana. This is how you do everything at once. And then I will hold down my shift key and select the glasses, and you can see the outline come up of what's been selected. And then still holding down the shift, I'm going to select the page. Now you need to make sure that you go off of it, because if I click in here in the middle, it's going to select all of my design, or it might select all of my design. I only want to select this pattern paper. So now all three are selected, and we're going to go over to the panel, over to our menu of panels, and we need to find the modify panel. It is the rectangle that looks like it's intersected with a circle. So click on that to open it. And inside your modify panel is a function called crop. So you only want to hit once, so just find their crop and select it. And as you can see, it cropped it to it. So now that pattern lays inside the glasses and the bandana. So you have cropped your pattern paper to fit the shape that you're wanting to um, change. Now, for example, I don't really like that. You can't hardly see it, so I'm going to undo it, and maybe I don't want it on everything. So I can use my, whoops. Okay, I want to unselect it, and I'm going to use maybe just a portion of it, and maybe I only want the the dragons on the glasses, and I'm going to do something else for the bandana. So I can select my glasses, hold down my shift, select the pattern paper, then I'll come back up here and hit crop. As long as it will only crop to what you have selected. So since I selected the glasses and not the bandana, it only cropped to the glasses. So now I can come up here and I can find a different pattern. Let's see, that looks good. Let's use that. And here I can adjust. I can adjust it to whatever size I want. All right, now I'm going to select my bandana, hold down shift. I'm going to select the pattern, and you can see the lines, the outlines around it, so you know that's what you're selected, and hit crop. And so now that is cropped to my bandana. And that is it. That is the 4 ways that you can customize your SVGs, and you can change the patterns or the color fills within the SVGs, and specifically to different parts of the SVG. So the way this is set up, I made the background of the bandana and the insides of the sunglasses, the lenses, I made those to be their own parts so that it's easy to do this. And hopefully this made perfect sense to you, and you'll be able to customize your own SVGs with either your own coloring, your gradients, or your fill patterns within Silhouette Studio, or now you know how to bring in your own patterns and your own backgrounds, and you can change it from there. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And again, don't forget to check the description for the SVG that I've included with this tutorial so that you can play around with it and make your own. It is free for you to use for your personal use.